Hey, welcome back to Vox Terra. If you have not done so, please do subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell. So everything in the media right now, the Democrats, Republicans, everybody wants to just get schools open again. Get them open 5 days a week and act like everything's normal. Now, I do realize that if you're a Democrat, yes, they're trying to do it more responsibly than what was happening under Trump. So now they're talking about lowering the distancing to 3 foot in some places, so that schools can be open 5 days a week. Now, what troubles me about this, number one, is my instinct as a contrarian. How come I'm not hearing anything on the media, NPR included, that's National Public Radio included, saying what is the benefits of remote learning are? It's all the disadvantages and the traumas of it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sympathetic or empathetic and understand many of the criticisms of remote learning, and in an ideal world, it's not the ideal situation, but we don't live in an ideal world. Argument number one, the main driving argument for ending remote learning is, people say in terms of the students, the isolation. Now, for that reason only, there are solutions to that situation. If you've known people who have homeschooled, they have friends, they will have a homeschool network, and people will get the kids together and have different socializing activities. Which that brings me back to my suspicion why there's no voices arguing for a permanent or at least a prolonged option for the remote learning, because people who are homeschooling tend to be conservative Christians or conservative religious, and they want to have more say over how their children are being raised. So therefore, I'm very suspicious I'm hearing no voices in favor of keeping a permanent remote option for that reason alone. And why it's like a giant juggernaut to just go back to how things were. So when I hear a giant juggernaut to go back to how things were, I am suspecting that that is what, for lack of a better way of putting it, the large corporations and wealthy individuals who have an outsized influence in our democracy want. And I suspect they want that because they want to protect business as usual and their business interests. Now, when it comes to the economy, that's the second main driver. People say we need to get the schools open so we can get this economy really going again. Well, look, that's my main problem. People aren't stopping to take a look at what this economy is actually doing, what we're in a rush to really get back to. Now, I get the arguments people need the money, but even that, there's a problem that I think would be better solved by universal basic income, at least in the short run, and a transition towards a greener deal in the long run. But let's look at what our economy is really doing, what we've really been in a rush to get back to. It looks to me like we're in a rush to get back towards a civilizational suicide course. Over the course of my lifetime, people have been aware and warning about what we are doing, pumping our earth full of disposable plastics, disposable products, greenhouse gases, burning more fossil fuels, throwing away, yet nothing has changed. There is now more disposable plastic than when I was younger. There is more carbon being added to the atmosphere than when I was younger. So let's imagine what this economy is really doing. It's not steering us in meaningful directions. It's steering us towards destruction. So here, let's take the hypothetical, the Starbucks worker. This is an example I gave during my Texas car crash video. So you're in a big rush to get to your job at Starbucks. You're driving in a vehicle, risking your life on the roads because the speed limits are fairly high. And people are in a hurry. So you're in a rush to get to your job, to serve other people who are in a hurry, just coffee from disposable cups so they can go through a drive-through, causing more pollution. Now, that job they're in a hurry to get to might be to get to the disposable cup manufacturing facility so that you can then serve them disposable cups. Well, that is how our lives, that's the meaning of our life in this system. It's not being geared towards the long-term survival. It's not being geared towards something grandiose like space settlement or reforestation or organic agriculture. It's being geared towards producing disposable cups so people in a hurry can get to their job producing disposable cups. Now, in the case of schools in particular, when you go back to this 5-day-a-week reopening under current conditions, you're taking a big experiment. We're back now to the health issue. So you go to these 3-foot distancing rules, and maybe it's going to work, but maybe it isn't. The 6 people claim about how these schools have been fairly safe and low and not a lot of disease spread in this school. But I believe that's at schools where people are generally following the rules. And I have at least anecdotal evidence to show that schools where the student's body is more defiant of the rules, more noses out and gathering and more defiance, there is a higher level of COVID-19 spread in those schools. Now you put people 3 foot together, it's going to be harder to maintain that boundary. Second, when we come back to the environment, which is my main thesis, a lot of parents are going to be dropping their kids off in their internal combustion engines. We're going to have a lot more traffic now. You're going to have a lot more engine idling, a lot more fossil fuel burning. And that is an actual health concern. That puts particulate matters in the air. Particulate matters that contain benzene and other toxins and carcinogens and are related to health conditions like asthma, heart and lung disease, as well as cancers. Now, while taking the kids to school in buses theoretically should be less polluting because you're sort of bulking up that trip, again, a lot of parents are going to be afraid to do that, but also those buses tend to run on diesel. Diesel has much more particulate matter than typical automobiles do, at least within the United States. There's been really little drive to go towards electric school buses, even though that would have been a good idea all along. So the lesson I was hoping we would get from this COVID-19 pandemic would be to stop and look at how our society is operating and reimagine a better society. So back to the schools again. At the outset of the pandemic, I heard someone, I don't know if he was from Khan Academy, I'm not sure, but it was somebody who was supposed to be an expert in remote learning. And that expert was saying that best practices for remote learning are really best practices for learning in general. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that the way we have school structured now is you got a bunch of kids in a room and they're supposed to be going at relatively the same pace and the teacher individuates, etc., but really they're all there and they're not really learning each tailored to their own need. Best practices for remote learning would be that a kid can kind of go at their own pace with some teacher and group check-ins. Remote learning also allows the potential for reimagining education in many ways, as it allows the potential for reimagining work in many ways. People can work remotely and learn remotely. People can find more creative solutions for the socialization, and they can begin to work and learn at their own pace in a different type of setting than things are currently happening. So instead of being in a rush to get back to business as usual, which I think is taking our planet dangerously towards tipping points, let's instead take this as an opportunity to reimagine our society and actually build back better. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, please click that notification bell, please like, comment, and until next time, peace be with you.